Good evening. Welcome to Don Amando Robot channel. I'm your host, Don Amando. So we're just here to talk about in remembrance of the September 11th attacks. Feel free to share your experiences. The world would like to hear that. Good evening. Well, I have to say that Kishow's in the room. So you're welcome to come up in this panel. We could talk about what happened on September 11th, where you was at and everything. You're welcome. So come in and chat. I see we have Georgia in the chat. Welcome, Georgia Squadron. There's some chat right here just to really talk about the 21st anniversary of the September 11th attacks, where everybody was. What's your thoughts on it now? If you feel that the government lied to you, or people were more united in those times than they are now, I just want to get like a general aspect of it. And we have Morena Reyes. My thoughts is that with September 11th, I don't know, but there was a lot of things that are sketchy. For example, I mean, after the aftermath, I know that there's certain people that are still finding the remains of the people that perished during that horrible attack. Or I've heard that, I guess that was like years ago. I have heard that certain people think it was an inside job. And you have all these conspiracy theorists saying that there's a big old conspiracy with lizard people and so forth. And there's a lot of details to me which are sketchy. So those are my thoughts. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, like I've heard basically the same rhetoric and the same like statements like repeated throughout their years in regards to how like 9/11 was a inside job, and that although it was also done by members of Al Qaeda, people say that is a half truth, but also people will say that it was also done by the Israeli Mossad, who basically orchestrated the attacks by hiring these guys to carry out the attacks on United 93 and on the Pentagon and even on the towers. Even if that stuff, to me, even if all that stuff is true, which it might be, it still doesn't really discount the fact that still a lot of innocent lives were lost, and how those such as Todd Beamer, if anyone can remember who he was the one who orchestrated the United 93 revolt, which basically like stop the terrorists from carrying out either attack on the U.S. Capitol building or the White House to where unfortunately it just ended up plunging down into like a countryside in Pennsylvania, if everybody can remember that. But then
Yes.
again, even that's is a bit, a story that a lot of people remain skeptical about because it was reported though that President Bush and even Vice President Cheney at the time had actually ordered United 93 to be shot down. That probably is the case, but
Yes, I
even
remember
that,
that.
yeah, exactly. But even with the case like that, it still doesn't, likewise, it still doesn't really discount the fact that Todd Beamer still put together an amazing revolt. Because what would happen if the missiles didn't really strike um, the plane at first? Or what if the passengers didn't really revolt like fast enough? Because they were only like in a countryside in the eastern part of Pennsylvania, which is still close to DC. So it
Right.
doesn't really, change the fact that Todd Beamer put together a very heroic act and that the passengers on that plane aren't heroes. But then again, there are probably some fishy things about it anyway.
I mean, like for example, when I remember it was 2004, and no, actually, I don't know if it was 2003, 2004, or whatever the case may be. I knew that there was this director, Michael. I would say Myers, but then I'm not sure what his last name was. Anyway, I went to see the documentary, and the documentary was in 2004 because I remember that year. That was when George Bush was in re-election. So when he actually came out with the movie, I guess the Republican press or what have you went and tried to suppress that movie so much that a lot of people just went to see it, but it didn't really affect their, I guess, the voters' opinions on George Bush. That his father and Osama bin Laden's father had business deals back in, I guess, the 1960s and 70s when both of them were into heavy dealings with oil. So it's just that it's very it's very crazy on how people how that guy actually found out that information. Albeit it was 2004, he made a film about it, and there was so many people who were trying to get at that director just because of it.
Yeah, and more than likely, that director still tried to circulate pure facts in that documentary that would have otherwise contradicted a lot of the narratives during that
Yeah,
time
it
of
was not
the
Michael
of
Myers,
its
by the way. My correction, it was Michael Moore.
Michael Moore. Okay, yeah. So more than
Yes.
likely, he just presented a bunch of stuff that contradicted the narratives during that time. But even if people publish things that are that controversial, it should still be up there, and that way people can use their freedom of thoughts and expressions to express why they think that this is wrong and inaccurate and what they're missing, as opposed to just trying to either like cancel or suppress somebody. Because even cancel culture was still pretty big then, back then, as it is
Yeah,
right now.
but it wasn't really so much called cancel culture. It was just, I guess it had other names, but the way that we call it cancel culture right now, it was. I mean, I guess that's the popular term for it. But I guess there was a more PC term for it back in the day. But I guess the cancel culture, where it was like, okay, you had certain people that had to vote because there was like, oh, because of fear mongering or whatever the case may be during that time. So you had certain people that felt safe with this man in power. So a lot of people, I guess, didn't believe it, but they tried to shun the movie or whatever, just like how they shunned that movie about Nat Turner during, I guess it was during Donald Trump's election. So you have certain people that will try to sabotage their own sales just because of a political or of a social movement. I've learned that in while being here in the United States for my 39 years, it's actually it's actually how certain people have their agenda. So if you have enough money to put what agenda you want, you're gonna have it succeed. So that's my own take on it.
Same here, though. It's just like a matter of just trying to chase after clout and also like power, because that's kind of like pretty much like the norm, and just everybody's mo in America is just to clout chase, start up their own agendas and narratives, just for the sake of power. But I just think that that's kind of like what a very hyper liberalized society will actually do.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because we actually live, I guess, in a hyper liberal society that actually not only for us Christians, but they don't respect other people's opinions. So when we say like, okay, we do not like this, and we present our case on why we do not like this, they want to actually act butt hurt, cannot really form an opinion, and they want to hate us just because we don't think like you. And then when we have these ideals, they want to try to disrespect the person's faith and background, so therefore they could push their agenda forward. And this is getting even to the point that certain content creators, from what I've talked to, are getting doxxed just because of their personal beliefs or their race, and I guess they will not go with the status quo on what other people's ignorance about their culture or whatever the case may be. So when they actually present a new standpoint on what they're actually going to, you have certain people that do not respect that. And we're living like in a society where I was watching a documentary on how certain people were saying that, oh, we do not respect your choices in life or whatever. This is getting to the point that you have certain people who actually just hunt down a person just because of their personal beliefs and shoot them, which to me is actually sad. And this is supposed to be United States of America, the land of the free. So it's very crazy.
Yeah, but
Georgia,
then what's up?
what is your opinion about what is happening in Chicago right now?
There's a
Or I
lot of
mean the
stuff that
state of Illinois.
just about, well, there's all, so say the question again though. What did you say about the end?
Yeah. What is your thoughts on what the state of Illinois say have said about Chicago or the whole entire state of Illinois, saying their new rules, saying if a person is with second degree manslaughter, they could be out of jail, and this basically they saying that it's every man for themselves in that state.
I mean, like there's a lot of things that I can say about basically Cook County, Illinois, which is where Chicago is located in. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
things that I can say is that I just also feel that they are very soft on a lot of the criminality that pervades through all throughout the city and the gang warfare, because they
Right.
already have like policies put in place to where you can probably get off scot-free if you even attempted murder, because that's just how soft they are, like on like the crime there. And we all know that gang warfare prevails all throughout the city of Chicago, especially if we're talking about the West and the South Side. But you have a lot of the politicians there that are not going to bring that to light, because all they're going to do is just end up getting vilified or called racist because of how it's mainly black men who are involved in those gang shootings and everything. And they just will never really like propose any like practical solutions to it, because even like politicians, even in the state of Illinois, are just chasing after power and clout. So if they were to say the wrong thing, then they're just going to lose all of that.
Yes. We have another person in the channel. Let's welcome Don Jose.
Welcome aboard, Jose. You can come on board if you like.
Okay, good evening, Donna Mama. Good evening, Jojo. Thank you for allowing me on the platform.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Well, as far as I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right. Where were you during the September attacks, Don Jose?
Okay. I was in downtown Brooklyn because at the time I worked in Brooklyn as a municipal employee, and I was able to see the smoke from downtown Brooklyn. So we stayed at a location for a couple hours, and then we were told to depart. Now, of course, the trains were not running at all. So I tried to get on the Brooklyn Bridge, and they were stopping people from getting on the bridge, and then they were trying to stop people from getting on the Manhattan Bridge, but there was too many of us that was trying to get on. So basically, I walked from Bergen Street in Brooklyn to like about 14th Street in Manhattan, and then I got on a bus, and it took several hours to get home because the bus was moving at a snail's pace. But I mean, at one point, there was no cell phone service, so I couldn't call my family to let them know that I'm okay. My brother, who worked in the area, was covered with the fallout, and it's a horrible situation. I also did a stream earlier today regarding 9/11, but looking at it in regards to the victims.
Yes, I mean, when I heard the towers hit, I was in high school. It was like I just started a new high school, and then the next thing we saw on the TV that the towers are burning. So we didn't know that a first plane hit. It was until I got home, which was like 4 or 5 hours later, because I was up in 103rd, but yet I was trying to go see my sister because the train service was not working. And I was up, and I walked from 103rd to 207. My sister was not there. So I went and I walked all the way to the Bronx. It was like around Fordham Road area and such. I took the bus. I tried to ask a lady while I was on the bus, can I please call my mother? She was like, no. So when I got home, my mom was like, where the heck were you and such? Then my dad came because he had to walk from 68th Street all the way to the Bronx. So it was a crazy day. And then I guess because since the attacks happened, certain people did not even have cable, nor alone Channel 47, which was my mom's favorite channel. She couldn't even get that because she didn't have cable. So there was a whole week that a lot of people who did not have cable could not see Channel 47. So it was just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
it was.
And due to that, one of my high school friends lost his brother during the attacks.
I was only a 9-year-old kid in the fourth grade at the time, and I do remember seeing that, and I was super shocked because I remember walking past the two towers when my cousin graduated in the spring of 2001 at University of Columbia.
Wow.
But my little kid mind at the time still understood what was going on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This might be really crazy of me to say this though, but if I were richer than Elon Musk, I would pay New York City to rebuild the towers, and I would give them a deal on it too. And more than likely, they'll accept it because money talks.
Yes.
But I just think that the towers added a lot of amazing character to New York City. If they were beautiful, they were always captured in movies prior to 2001, such as that movie with Mike Epps and Jamie Foxx in it, which was Bait. And I miss it. And if I were like somebody who had a net worth of $1 trillion, I would say, okay, guys, we're going to have to just relocate the memorial service or relocate the memorial that's there in that area where the towers were located. We're going to move it. We're not going to get rid of it. We're just going to move it somewhere else, and I will pay for that. And you guys get busy, and I'll pay your contractors very well because it only took basically 2 to 4 years to build those towers. So if they were to ever like start rebuilding those towers like in the late 2000s, they would have already had the towers back by now. So if in my fantasy world, if I could get that kind of money, I would say, guys, rebuild it. I'll pay the city well. I'll pay your contractors well. I'll pay everybody well. Just do it.
I would. I would not be mad at that. But then
Mhm.
it's like I don't know. Terrorists, I guess I guess the Middle East have always had that building in their mindsets. Even when that 1993 bombing happened.
I do. They
Yeah.
could have even hit the Empire State Building too. And better yet, even the terrorists, even who hijacked United 93, were also planning to hit the Capitol or the White House. They already got the Pentagon too, so you have like all of these buildings that are intended targets, including where I'm staying at, which is Las Vegas. Or they could plan to hit like the Golden Gate Bridge too, or the BART train systems throughout the Bay Area, or just all these very
Yeah.
special buildings throughout the country. Or even the Brooklyn Bridge, which is where I guess Jose was trying to cross during that time. They have all these buildings in mind still. So that being said, I just personally think, in my opinion, if I had that money, I'd say just rebuild it and don't ask questions until it's built.
Right.
Okay.
And it's like the climate in New York, because I don't know, but it's like to the point that you have certain people who are moving in, or you're having a lot of people who are native New Yorkers moving out. So I happen to be a native New Yorker that moved out to Philadelphia, like in late 2016. So it's to a point that some of these building contractors or such, or build or landlords or whatever you may call them, are trying to raise up the rent, and then you have certain people that if they were to move, they're stuck like in apartment contracts or whatever the case may be, that they'll have to stay there until whatsoever. And you seem like you're going to see a high influx of people living living in I don't know if it's squalor or whatever, that's going to be living outside of New York City.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also like a Californian who moved out in the spring of 2018. And I've settled here in southern Nevada, which there are actually a lot of Californians and even New Yorkers out here too, because we can no longer afford where we're from.
So, all right. So, as far as Nevada is concerned, because I do not know nothing about the West Coast because I have not been there. How is the culture in the West Coast as different from the culture or how should I say or the customs of the East Coast?
A lot of people here tend to be very slow pace, whereas a lot of people from the East Coast tend to be very fast paced, especially those in New York. I would say that that's a major difference in terms of what the people are like over where you are as opposed to where people are like over here. Now, I still think that we are very culturally diverse in our own like unique ways, but where I'm staying at though is basically a resort town, and there's not really any kind of specific culture here, since you have a lot of people out here who are just coming here just to only make something for themselves, and it's definitely like a place where people can indulge in their individualistic nature. And when you have stuff like that, there really is no like definitive culture. But I think that the East Coast actually has like a definitive culture where there's like a commonality between a lot of people. But around here is that you have so many different types to where there's a little bit of an identity issue. But I don't really feel that the West Coast, I mean not the West Coast, but the East Coast has that identity issue.
Yeah, and it's like from what I've seen or because what a lot of people and I don't know what it is, but it's like here in the East Coast, everybody's trying to say, "Oh, these Democrats or Republicans, everything will be better because Republicans are hard on crime and everything." But I beg to differ because as far as people who live in Texas or other Republican states, the last time I remember, some of some of those put states which are Republican no facts or anything of that nature. I know that some of those cities or states have like the highest serial killers. So I don't know if I could say that, but
Yeah,
that,
I mean like a lot much of my family like is actually from the South, such as Mississippi and Louisiana, especially given the fact that I come from that strong Louisiana Creole line. And I can say that, yes, they're predominantly Republican, solidly red states, but they come with a lot of issues too. Much of the Republicans down there, like who claim that they're about God and Jesus, I can just kind of tell you, man, they don't even care about Jesus at all. They just only care about just siphoning money off of their supporters just so that they can maintain power, because that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. And then also, the South may also be called the Bible Belt, but bro, it is also known as the gay porn belt, the divorce belt, the gang warfare belt, the food stamp belt, the poverty belt, and the meth belt, the drug belt, the dogfighting belt. The list just goes on. So I can't really go
yeah,
around and say that they're very
and
so tough on like basically I guess you could say crime or like social issues when you have all those aforementioned things going on down there in the South. Now, don't get me wrong. If you kill somebody in the state of Louisiana, you're going to the Louisiana State Pen for life. I'm actually am all for that. But just because it's a Republican state, that does not mean that it's exempt from all those problems, because I just already just named them all, which is actually a serious problem, and it doesn't make it any different than the issues in blue states.
Yeah. Well, it's
um,
fun. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I
I'm
mean, If you actually look, you could talk, Don Jose.
No, no, go ahead. I'll wait until you finish.
No, I'm finished, so you can speak.
Okay, but you know something, when it comes to the so-called Bible Belt, okay, there are people who are Christians in name and Christians in reality. Okay, just because you belong to a church and you state that you're a Christian doesn't necessarily mean that you are a Christian, because it all has to do with how you treat others.
Exactly, though, because even Jesus made it abundantly clear that we have to abide in him and we also have to be living examples of him. But not very many people down south do that. Like you said, doesn't mean that everyone down there is like that. But then again, what comes with a region is also going to come with a lot of problems, especially with people who claim that they're very religious in that sense. Because even Jesus himself talked about religious hypocrites such as Nicodemus in the book of John, too, along with all the Sadducees and the Pharisees. So nowadays you have a lot of real life versions of like wolves in sheep's clothing, Nicodemus, along with modern day Sadducees and Pharisees, which are actually pervasive throughout the South, especially even in the Republican Party, too.
Mm,
So I agree.
yeah.
That's kind of why, like, even as a Christian, though, myself, I have given up a lot of stuff, bro, because I was very flawed. I'm still am, but I've distanced myself from a lot of people. I've gotten rid of a lot of people on my friends list, and I have, treated everybody accordingly, regardless of what background they are. Even if they are even gay or even like transgender or somebody I was initially hostile to, my attitude has changed because the question in my head is, well, what would Jesus say and what would he do? Would he approve of this? And the answer is no. Doesn't mean that you agree with it or tolerate it, though, but in my behavior, if that's condemnable, then it's time to stop.
Yeah. The message of Christianity in its basic form, it's wonderful. The problem is it goes along with the interpretation.
Yes. But unfortunately, a lot of churches nowadays are very divided and split on the interpretations and how they really take it.
Yeah, that is sad, but true. But you know something? This is not nothing new. I mean, if you take a look um, in the Bible, even before Jesus was crucified, there was still infighting whether who was the most important. And the fact of the matter is, even from the beginning, it's always been controversies regarding how Christianity is to be interpreted.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
100%.
and it's to
But
the
if you
point
really,
that, and it's to the
yes,
point that if you really look at it, you have certain people. I'm not. I'm. I could actually say I'm a flawed person. I still have flaws also, but there's certain things that I've seen with pastors or religious leaders down south that they're
Hmm.
doing that I will not. That I think that Jesus Christ would not be would not be in support of. I'm not gonna go and say the things, but I'm just gonna say one of the things is I guess down south you have these cursing pastors. And from my background and when I used to live down south, and even the pastors in the Dominican Republic, every time I've talked to a pastor, they're actually down to earth. They actually talk about what they've been through and they never said a bad word. But now I guess
Mhm.
there's a culture of these of there's one pastor that I guess that he is talking about the word and such, but every time he's known as the cussing pastor. So my thing is that okay, what are you really trying to project? Are you projecting that you're down to earth, or are you just projecting like, hey, I'm just a regular guy that talks about the Bible, and I'm just using this pulpit as for a business, and I'm seeing that also.
Well, he's also missing like the verse from Ephesians 4, verse 29, which states that you shall not have any kind of corrupt language coming out of your mouth, but use language that's edifying and that's meant to build people up. So if you're in that kind of position, though, it's really bad optics on you.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, if you're always like cussing like a sailor, then it does become a bit of a red flag, especially if you're in that position.
Well, I mean, there is a term that calls giving false testimony or bad testimony, because when you are a Christian, the way you speak, the way you act, the way you think should reflect that.
Exactly. And there's a lot of stuff that I'm actually turning away from, so therefore I can actually have a better walk with God.
Hmm.
Exactly, because like more importantly though, it's really about like relationship and not so much religion. Because honestly, I haven't really been to church in like the past like 6 weeks. It's just because I don't really always get the best kinds of vibes from everybody around me, but thankfully that doesn't mean turn away from the relationship with the Lord. I mean, like the Lord Jesus always dwells within me and all that other stuff, but it doesn't really mean that I have to be around people or religion.
Hmm. Yeah. But the Bible talks about um, woe be the person that trusts in man, because no matter how godly, how holy, how whatever a person appears to be, they're flawed. We are all flawed, and we all make mistakes. And I know in my case, I made some colossal mistakes in my life.
Yes, I've made a lot of colossal mistakes, personal and with certain people, and even trying to let certain people within me that have led me down the wrong path. But I could say I thank God that I'm not a drug addict and that I'm not in prison. Amen.
Mhm.
Amen.
Here, here,
I
here,
mean,
here.
like there is that one verse in First John 1 verse 8, which does state that if you say you're without sin, you deceive yourself, and the truth is not within you. But then that's just where like Jesus even says, even in like the book of Proverbs, is that, well, if you confess and renounce it, then you're basically all good in the hood. And then he then states, even in the book of James, is that God is also going to exalt the humble. He knows you. He knows that you're, like you're always going to be very flawed and that you're going to always continue to fall short, as even what the book of Romans states. But when you show that you take that level of accountability and you become truly humbled by your experience, he exalts you. And I've taken a lot of accountability for the stuff that I've done, and I'm not going to even sit here and pretend that, oh, I'm all innocent and everything, and I've even been open about stuff that I've done and just the mistakes that I've made. But then again, I confess them, I renounce them, all that stuff's in my past, and I'm getting better every day, even though I still continue to have my challenges. But every good challenge is going to be a good opportunity in disguise.
Yeah. Um, I have made, of course, my share of mistakes, and at times I have overreacted. Okay, I can admit that. And there have been people that I have trusted, only to find out that they're not worthy of my trust.
Yes, I've been in
You,
countless situations like that also.
well, Jesus does say that you have to be the one to bear the fruit, and that you can like righteously judge somebody by their fruits. But if nothing really else goes that way, and like you try to like tell them that okay, this is probably not something that we ought to be doing, and none of that stuff works, then he even says, well, don't cast your pearls before swine, and you just continue
Yeah,
to just do you and continue to be on your healthy path and just kick the dust off your feet and just keep it moving, even as like Apostle Paul even says all throughout like the book of Acts. So this is why I love the book of Acts too, when it talks about stuff like that.
yeah. Um, to be a Christian, at times it can be difficult, but um, that is our calling. Those of us that acknowledge Jesus as Lord and Savior.
Exactly, man. I mean, like, I'm not going to share every facet of my life, but one thing I will be open about is that I'm one lust driven man, just like Samson from the Bible, who was very lust driven too. Because I've been single for 3 years. I'm not going to pretend that I don't have anything on my mind, but it's still just as bad because it falls into the category of impure thoughts. And I'm probably going to always be very
Yeah.
lust driven too. It's just, I'm just not going to be out there and acting on it, but it still is going on in my head. And that
One of
falls
the
into the
biggest
deadly
things,
sin of lust. But go on, yeah.
and it's funny because I'm a married man, but it's like I don't know when it comes to all these women and everything. I always have to sit back and like, okay, I'm a married man. I don't want to commit the mistakes of my forefathers or the people before me. I want to try to become a different man. And it's to the point that's if I do even have a lustful thought or whatever the case may be, I just sit back and like, nah, I can't do this. So
So like adultery, that kind of stuff.
it's not so much adultery, but then it's like you have to remind yourself that like you're a married man, you're walking in the ways of God, and it's even to the point that there's certain things that I've had. One day I could say that I was in a party with my wife, and I saw like a whole bunch of eyes on me, women. So I was like, okay, I don't know what they're looking at because I'm married. And then one day, and then at this same party, there was a woman that just went up and tried to say something to me, and me and the other guy who just looked at each other and was like, okay, I don't know which female trying to talk to or whatever. So we just left that alone because I'm not gonna even try to acknowledge any of that because at the end of the day, you don't know what a talk or what that person is, what that person persuasion is, or whatever the case may be. So I do go that route because at the end of the day, that route is gonna go through heartbreak and a lot of stuff that I do not want to be acquainted with in the long run. So I could say I'm just glad that I have my little quaint life and whatever anybody could say that I'm an attractive male, whatever the case may be. I'm like, yeah, but my single days are over. And they're over for a reason because I was doing a lot of soul searching in those times and I went through a lot of stuff. So to have somebody to see me past my flaws and everything like that, somebody that I could trust, I want to just at least maintain that trust. I don't want to be that guy that everybody says, "Oh yeah, guys are the same." No, we're not. There's certain people who are actually trying to fight just to become a better man. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, like well, like the Bible also says that there's always like some roaring lion that's prowling around you and is always trying to distract you or really derail you. And that lion comes from Satan, and then Satan uses other people who are just not really right with the Lord at all or just not believers to kind of come around and just kind of like exploit you or really throw you off guard though and really distract you too. But I'm really glad that, man, you picked up on that and you basically did the right thing.
Yeah.
Should have told those ladies to come my way though, because I'm a single man though, and I would ultimately love marriage and even children too. I would love like a son and a daughter someday with the right woman, but they
I
don't really
mean,
sound like that they would even be fit for that.
trust me. There's a saying and about New York females, and it I guess it holds true from where I'm from and where Don Jose lives at. They say
Mhm.
that the toughest guys in the Bronx are Bronx females.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I was telling a friend who lives in Philadelphia, right? And we were just talking about of stuff, and he was like, "I don't want to mess with no woman here in Philly and all that other stuff." I'm like, okay. And he was talking about, oh, I want to go with a New York female. I'm like, New York females are way different than the Philly females. I don't even know nothing about Philly females because I didn't come to Philadelphia as a single man, so I can't really speak on it. So I was just telling them that the women are hyper aggressive, just like a man, and they were and I was just telling them that you know they'll go and they'll actually come up to you to be like, yo, you look like you get man females, or it was like what your bank account looks like, without you even saying anything, or my best one, considering depending on what ethnic background the woman is in, it was like they'll go and they tell you you look like you get mad females. You're coming to my house tonight. I'm like, wait. I just saw that within interactions with certain people. I was like, wow, these females in New York are winning, or they're losing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like it's like so
Interesting.
many it's like so many things that as the dynamics grow for I guess single men as yourself, it's even to the point that some females I'm just trying to at least grow my social media channel, whatever the case may be. Even on TikTok, I'm having a lot of fake profiles of women claiming that they want to be my sugar mama, and they're gonna give me an allowance of $5,000 a month. I'm like,
Really?
I will admit,
yeah,
man, I'm not going to even sit here and pretend that I have not been tempted with that because I see that as a freedom from debt, but I feel that it might be more disastrous than anything else.
thank you. Because at the end of the day, you get so dependent, and at any moment, a person could cut you off, and then what? You have to go in on work again. So therefore, what is the main goal? You get what I'm trying to say? Of
Yeah.
of a woman saying that she's gonna give you $5,000 as a dude and everything like that. If anything, I'm just saying, like, to be a realist, you're better off trying to tell a man in the Dominican Republic because of that. No man
Wow.
here who's actually, I guess, I don't know what it is, but then there's a term which is called MGTOW.
Yeah,
No
I've heard
man
of
who's a
that.
MGTOW, no man who's a true MGTOW is gonna actually be with that.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that God is not going to let something like that happen to me at all. I've never gotten an offer like that one bit. Sugar mamas are actually honestly just rare if you really think about it. And so I don't ever expect that to ever happen to me. But I mean, I'll never say never. It's possible, but unlikely.
Well, actually, one person asked if she wanted to be my if she wanted me to be her sugar daddy,
Yeah,
and
I
I said
remember you
no.
telling me about
Now, I live in Vegas. I work a lot at these casinos. And I see the sugar daddy types all the time. Even one sugar daddy I worked with even bragged about how he is basically old enough to be my dad and he gets with women who are younger than me because I'm 30 and he gets with women in their early 20s or just those who have only been out of high school for about a few years. And he tells me though it's not always easy because they're either always stealing his stuff, asking for money and money, they lose their sense of responsibility. And if you decide to cut them off, they will act almost suicidal because the brain has lost its sense of self responsibility and taking accountability or what it's like to finally be on your own and what it's like to live outside of the fabricated reality that these women have created for themselves. So it's a very dangerous thing to get into.
Yeah.
yes, it is. It's like I don't know.
Yeah. Well, believe me, I've been dealing with a lot of um, emotional garbage the last 2 years, couple of years. First of all, having knee replacement surgery, and then having two members of my family passed away within 6 months of each other. An estrangement of one family member, and someone that I care about very much does not value me.
Been there, done that, man. But then
Yeah.
that's probably why we're all here together.
I mean, like, for example, my story. I'm just gonna say this: after my mother died, I was in a bad relationship that I thought was good, but then the woman that I was with, decided to cheat on me, knowing full well that I just lost my mother. So and I had a little break, and I had a mental breakdown. So with that, and albeit that I lost my job, there was rumors saying, "Oh, he's nothing but a crazy fella and everything." When the fact is, the person was admitting that they cheated on me. So I could actually say, "Lord, forgive me." I did go on like a little revenge spree, but nobody was hurt. But the person was slandering me so bad, I was like, "Well, since you want to be free of the world," I just gave her number to random people. She mad about it or whatsoever the case may be, but the person who kept slandering me or whatsoever. Yet it was funny because the person kept slandering me, but was asking everybody else what the heck I was doing or so forth. But the fact was that they did not even care for me. Then that person even tried to send the person that she was cheating on me with, that she cheated on me with, to try to fight me.
Mhm.
And I was like, at the end of the day, I told that guy, "You're welcome to go and try what you want to try. Let's just understand something. I would not have any problem going to jail for ending your existence. So please, I want you to try to play with me." I didn't hear from that guy since. That guy could go and try to tell all the lies he can, but I had a best friend of mine that actually stepped to him for that same reason, for trying to disrespect him by trying to talk to um his significant other at the time. And he went up and stepped up to his face and like, "You're not gonna go take my female." So it's apparently that certain people had problems, or and then albeit with the problems, the guy happened to be a hobosexual. Now, I'm not saying homosexual, I'm saying
Hobo.
hobosexual,
That I've heard
meaning
of
that
that before. It's basically get with all these women just so that they could provide you with a place, I believe, right?
yes,
Because a
and
hobo,
that's
because you
what
can.
this guy, and because a hobo technically, I guess the definition or what it meant, I guess in Northern America, was a guy that actually slept on the trains or moved place to place like a wanderer. But since since they target, I guess, women who are actually successful in what they do, or a woman that has a place. It could be a woman that could not be insured themselves to a stuff. All they have to do is talk, try to get into a relationship, and then when they think that they're about to change for the relationship or whatever the case may be, that guy turns out to have a bad habit or whatsoever, not go to work or some, and then when he gets kicked out, or he happens to ruin that woman's credit, so therefore he goes to another victim, or better yet, sleep in the public transportation system where he can look for his next victim. So I could actually say that I am not that person, and even if I was in my bad stuff, I will never want to be that person because I want to have certain stuff for myself. And now that I'm married, I want to try to move forward so I could actually live and to do something with my life as far as the entertainment industry, but try to talk positivity instead of negativity, and to actually try to bring awareness to to the youth on what lies ahead in the quote unquote corporate industry and what dangers that they face as a young man or young woman. So if I'm just gonna try to make music or produce music in that matter, I just want to try to actually get a positive message across, like Nipsey Hussle did. May he rest in peace.
Yeah. I hope you guys excuse me. It's just that right now I'm a little low tonight.
That's all right.
So it's all good, man. I'm a little bit too awake and alert now since I loaded up on caffeine.
No,
I
it's just
mean,
that
yeah,
it hurts.
I feel the same way about you, man. I feel the same way, Jose. Yeah, because I mean, like, I'm not gonna really put out like my family business out there that much because I don't really want to share all that details and all the every facet of my life. But I'm just praying that the Lord brings me and my sister back together because I've been hurting about our circumstance for the whole summer, and the unexpected circumstance has led to us not even talking for the whole summer. I want my sister back,
right,
and I just hope that whatever is happening that had prevented us from staying in communication for the whole summer because I haven't even spoke to her since June. It's been now 3 months. Just hope that that stuff just gets resolved so that we can continue with our stable relationship. But every day it hurts. Even in the beginning, it was hurting me so much to where it was interfering with my workouts and even my job too. It still hurts now. It's just the pain is just it's more so of a bearable pain and not painful enough to ruin my day or impede my daily activities. But at first it was, and that hurts just as much, Jose and Don.
I know
yeah,
it's just that it's someone that I care about.
Well, even though I can't really physically give you a hug, I'm giving you one in
I know.
spirit. Get a hug from me, man, in spirit, brother. We love you, man.
yeah.
Hmm.
I'll give you a hug too. And it's like right now I'm going through it because my friend who I consider uh as a brother, he's going through it because his younger brother was a victim of an assault, and he's in the intensive care unit down in Florida. So it's when I actually heard the news from his wife, I was like, get out of here. So my thing is that I'm just praying that my friend's brother, who I actually looked at as a little brother that I never had, gets out of this, and he could be a good father to his two daughters. But it's just actually crazy what's going on. So I just pray to God to protect me because out here in these streets in Philadelphia, it's actually getting crazy to the point that certain people are just talking about fear. When the fact is that we have to try to be vigilant and pray to God more, so at least we could give us courage during these trying times. That's what my belief is.
Yeah, yeah.
Same.
It's just, like I said, it does it, it it does hurt, and this is on top
Yeah,
what I've been through.
trust me. What all of us have been through is not easy. And then,
Mhm.
like, and I could tell you this. I could tell a whole bunch of people this, and it would not sound, and it will sound like, oh wow, while the whole world was mourning the death, found out Nipsey Hussle passed away. I lost my dad that same day. So it's something that that you cannot even write as how should I say, as a history book or anything like that. It's real. God intended it to be certain
Yeah,
certain lifestyle changes you learn throughout the years, and certain stuff it could actually hurt you. So
hmm
it's to the point that now I guess I'm a little bit more wiser on what I do, on how I try to treat people. But I'll always remember the lessons that my father had taught me and my mother have taught me. And sometimes, even though that I feel that I let them down because I didn't give them a grandchild while they was alive, I could actually say that throughout my immaturity and whatever I was going through, I could actually say that I have more of a clearer head now. And I hope that they're looking at me proud from where they're at with God. So I guess that's what keeps me going. At the end of the day, I know that it's going to be sad that a lot of our people are that God will have to take. But at the meantime, we have to find some strength and just lean on Him more because I know for a fact that with God He heals all pain.
that is true. It's
I
very
truly believe that. I mean, look at me. I could have been dead or in jail in 2013 if I in if I would have met my wife. Throughout the years, she struggled with me. She saw of the stuff that I've been through, the trauma, the mental trauma, and everything. And certain people who know me and everything, they knew me like my bad airways and such. They was like, "Yo, fam, not for nothing, you changed." And a lot of people are actually attributing that. He was like, "Yo, your lady's a good woman to stay with you because not a lot of people actually have patience or understand what you're going through." And I tell my lady that all the time because certain people will not just have the patience. So
Yeah, because like, kind of long story short is that like we're only human and we have our limitations. We will not be able
yes,
to handle certain things. There's some personalities or someone else's trauma or in other words what they call emotional dumping. There's just only
yeah,
so much that we can take before we just have to tell these people that, okay, I'm sorry about all this baggage you acquired, but I can't do this anymore. Yeah, I can't
yeah,
do it. And that's just where we have to, yes, turn to the Lord and surrender all of
yeah.
our anxieties and our problems to Him, since humans are not going to be able to do that for you because we just can't.
hmm
yeah.
That is true.
So I having like, I mean, even if for people who aren't really like firm believers, even they would agree that having some level of healthy spirituality is actually needed because, you like I said, you're a human being. You have your limits. You can't at all always handle somebody else's pain. You just can't. But that's where, like a healthy spiritual practice or spiritual guidance counselor has to come into the equation with that person and surrender all your problems and your emotional dumping on them. Because even I have to admit,
Yeah.
there are some times where, you know what, a girl, a woman especially, who is always venting to me about what's going on with her and all this baggage, I'm like, ugh, I need some peace right now. I need to breathe. But at least God has that infinite energy to be able to deal with that. But there comes a point where I just don't.
Yeah. Well, look, at least I know for one thing, I know what is my source and what is my strength.
Amen to that.
Same.
Hmm.
Well, I love how and like what the conversation evolved into. It's just only us three, and there doesn't really seem like there's anyone else on.
Well, because there's another string going on right now.
I'm curious as to what that other stream is.
I mean, I guess it was Magic Malata's on Discord, and I think that Denise has another stream also. But it's like right now what I'm thinking about doing, like I guess to actually have different facets of my channel is that well, like at the end of the month, I'm gonna go on my cruise for the first time. So I'm gonna try to at least make a little mini video about it, about my experience while I'm on there, because I know that since I'm gonna be going towards international waters, I don't know how T-Mobile works in international waters or whatever the case may be, or what to do, because I haven't actually traveled internationally for over 3 years. No, actually 3 years to tell you the truth. So it's something for me to look forward to, and hopefully, if I get a, a decent employment, I would actually try to make travel videos, so therefore I could actually tell people who are younger and don't have any hope that you could that I've look at what I came out of, look what I've been through. The world is vast and wide. And if you do not like your situation, just try to there's very other places that could actually show you or what that that you're or what you're looking for, which is actually love and encouragement. So I would like to try to make travel videos, so therefore I could actually show people the experience, my experiences, but also to educate the public that what you see in the news not always the news. If I could say that right.
You got it right. But what I would also suggest is, I mean, maybe if you were to connect to their Wi-Fi, then maybe when your bill wouldn't be high. Or if you were to bring your laptop, if you have one, you can bring it along and connect to maybe the cruise's Wi-Fi system, and then you can interact with everybody via your laptop, or like record all your videos on your phone and then upload it on here, but then communicate with us on your laptop.
All right.
That can also come in handy.
So Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
have you been like internationally traveled?
I have. I've been to Jamaica and Mexico, and I've
All
been on
right,
a cruise too.
cool. Well, even though that I guess is not the topic or whatever the case may be, there's another guy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. I just only got familiar with him like maybe a month or 2 months ago by the name of Milano 23, right? So it seems that him and Fighter are actually beefing right now because of this other guy by the name of Frico. Well, I'm just calling him Frico because of the countless allegations that's around this man. So it looks like that they were actually making videos or whatever the case may be about each other. I just said wow because the guy Milano, he doesn't strike me. I don't know what his preference with women whenever he goes to a country, whatever the case may be. I guess he is a single man or what he partakes in. But on Fighter's channel, he was saying that he has Frico taking care of Mulano's child or whatever, babysitting Mulano's child, and I guess that it was certain stuff that was said, and Mulano went up and on his channel went up and was dissing on Fighter. So I don't know where this problem hailed from, but it's like, but it's really crazy because I don't know if they're doing this for views. I don't know if they actually have a problem.
Hmm.
And me personally, I just think on both sides, it's actually tacky because if you have if you just approve of a man's lifestyle or whatever the case may be, okay, but you have to look at the bottom line. Is it hurting you? Is it hurting people that you're around with? Or you don't or if a person just not that just don't like your lifestyle choices because it doesn't resonate with his morals or choices. So it's just it's just I guess in these YouTube streets, if you could even call them streets, it's just very interesting on who could actually have beef with each other. And it could be just something minor. I mean, I talked to a friend of mine that I went to high school with, and we all agreed that there's a certain YouTuber, which who I'm not going to mention. Me and him, we don't like his lifestyle choices because I guess he has no. I guess according to us that he has no game. But I had to tell my friend that there's certain people who are not really gifted with the gift of gab. They
True.
they may not know how to talk to a woman. They may not they I guess because of how they look and such. Maybe people in their local community. may not accept them. So therefore, when they go out overseas and they have fun, whatever fun it is, to according to them, a lot of people will try to criticize because they they think that they could do something different or whatever the case may be. So my thing is that since certain people are not gifted with the gift of gab, and I guess when they make enough money on what they can do, I guess they do the actions of, I guess, paying to be with women or whatever the case may be, and they get called out for it. But then you have to also think there's a lot of men who are actually, I guess, in higher positions that actually do the same thing. But why is it in the YouTube streets? A lot of people are just calling out content creators for doing that. But yet you're not calling out the A-list celebrities that could actually fly to a country and and partake in the same thing. But nobody, or the Fortune 500 businessman that does the same thing in another country, whatever the case may be. Why is it that people are focusing on a man's lifestyle choices just because he makes videos and such? If it's repulsive to a person, I get it. If you feel disgusted that that person partakes in those actions, I get it. But my thing is, what is it that makes you disgusted that you have to make a video about it? That's what I want to know. Or in that case, what
it all
the
really boils
underlying-
down. Yeah. So it all boils down to carefully judging the person's actions. They know that just stirring up the drama and the controversy is going to draw a lot of attention to them. It's also a tactic that people use to go viral, to gain more clout and just more subscribers, because humans just feed off of drama and conflict and controversy. It's what just basically circulates the message much more efficiently, even though it's so unhealthy. That's what I see throughout people like that. But if that is not going to really benefit me, like in a long-term, healthier or more uplifting sense, then I don't want to do that. Whenever, and not only that, but when people are actually out there trying to project healthier content, you see how they barely get any views. But as soon as something controversial and dramatic comes up, they're getting thousands upon thousands of views. See what I mean?
Yes.
Pattern recognition is a sign of intelligence. If you can see that, your head is right where it's supposed to be.
I mean,
Yeah, there is. I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna lie. There are certain times that I did curse out one YouTuber just because while I was trying to talk about the issue, this guy proceeded to try to disrespect me, to disrespect my wife, just because he couldn't get his point across, and it got to the point that I lost it, because I'm not gonna sit here and have anybody disrespect my wife. And when I was actually talking to a lot of content creators, it turns out that that's what this guy's MO is. That he likes to go and disrespect other content creators' wives or men that he sees that are into a fruitful marriage or in a good space, that they're happy in their relationships. So it's like, okay, where do we draw the line? I could say if I'm talking to if me and Don Jose just disagree about something, we could disagree about it civilly. I'm not gonna go sit here. I'm not gonna go and disrespect people who are close to him or any of that case because that does not really show a sign of maturity. And then I saw the guy who was doing that, and to me, he looks like a snowflake anyway. You could be with the muscles and stuff, but at the end of the day, you could see that the guy was not comfortable in his own skin because you saw a whole bunch of Dominicans in the parade, and he looked like he was afraid. He looked like he saw a ghost. Basically, I'm like, you could talk all that big talk, but yet you see a whole bunch of people enjoying themselves. You look like, and you just want to act like you're surveilling or something like that. That something really spooked you. I don't know what it is. I don't really care what it is. But to me, it's to a point that we have to hold some of these content creators um, re- accountable for the ignorance that they're spreading. And it's not only, I guess, in the Latin sphere, it's not only in the, I guess, the man sphere or woman sphere or whatever sphere. We have to hold people accountable for their actions because at the end of the day, if if your actions are personal and your set goal is to try to destroy that person's reputation, or you want to try to clout chase over a person just because his views are not in line with yours, whether it be politics, ethnic division, etc. We have to hold a lot of these so-called YouTubers, YouTube content creators accountable because at the end of the day, if certain people are making their livelihood through YouTube by trying to promote knowledge or whatever the case may be, or just trying to help people, who are you to try to stop their movement? Or better yet, who are you to criticize their movement? When the fact is, some of these content creators, the ones that we have to hold responsible, do not really have a good job, nor have people skills to actually get to the next level on what their agenda is, or better yet, they just um have philosophies which, if it will be manifested in the wrong way, could be of a public hazard towards regular people. And I've seen this time more often, and it's crazy on how certain people could have a disagreement and it could turn out into a mass shooting. It's really sad that the way.
Yeah. It seems like accountability for some people, it's like kryptonite. They don't know what it means to be accountable for themselves.
I gotta be honest. I mean, you gotta be real here, but the brain does not like taking accountability, which is why it's
Mhm.
hard for most people to feel humbled by their experience and to just take that accountability. The brain is actually very prideful. it always wants to be right about everything, which is why people are less likely to see anything wrong with their behavior or how they've treated others. Even when they see that they're wrong or that somebody called them out for what they were truly wrong about, they just end up trying to rationalize what they did. But it affects most people terribly. It's because they live by very fleshly standards. There's no sense of spirituality in them. There's no spirit-filled side to them. But then that's just where, importantly, guys, there needs to be that spirit-filled aspect to you. Because even if you are just like an atheist, you still have to admit that you can't get so wrapped up in fleshly things. Because look at what the flesh craves. It craves power, it craves ego-driven things, it craves a lack of accountability, and it craves pride. You need to have like some level of spirituality if you really are going to survive in this world. Otherwise, you're going to be finding yourself in a cycle of responsibility issues and you're never going to be happy. So Don, like, those people do what they do because they're battling with their own demons, their own unhappiness, and their own shortcomings. But if they actually will start to feel more humbled by the experience, it can actually feel far more self-rewarding than what they were than the stuff that they're already doing.
Exactly.
That's why I feel very... Sorry, I dropped my phone. So that's why I feel very happy with myself, because I'm a lot more comfortable in my skin. I feel very humbled by a lot of my experiences, and I'm not afraid to be open about some of the messed up things that I may have said or done. I would say that, yes, I said that. Yes, this is what happened between me and my failed engagement with my ex-fiance. But there's a huge difference between what I did wrong and what you did wrong. I full on acknowledge what I did was wrong, and accountability and closure was already taken a long time ago. But did you openly express what you did was wrong and messed up? You still have yet to do that, which then makes me and you very, very different. And then all people wanted to do was just shut me down or block me or do all this other stuff after I called them out on their BS. I mean, like, you called me out, and I was man enough to say that, yes, I did. But the thing is, trying to dig all that stuff up and trying to visit my past is like trying to rob my old house. I don't live there anymore. So what are you doing to get yourself out of the gutter that you put yourself in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then what's hilarious, guys, for you guys, before anyone says anything else, is that they will visit your past a lot more than you do. And I'm just like, well, I guess I'm not special enough to live rent-free in your head, because you sure are visiting my past a lot more than I visit my own.
I mean, it's funny on talking about people who live rent free, whatever the case may be, right? And it's funny because I've had people that actually, how should I say, that are so. I'll put it like this: after I got kicked out of my job, right? It looked like that I have had certain people that did not like me, right? Because for whatever reason, I guess the reason mostly was because I was just a go getter to get money or whatever the case may be. Or certain people couldn't figure out how I could take a vacation when I was getting paid so little. Whatever the case may be, certain people did not like me because of their preconceived notions of me, as they think of me as ghetto trash, but yet I was the one that actually had a bank account. As it said, one of my friends, may God rest her soul, was being stalked by a former ex of hers, who is known to be a constant woman beater in any relationship that he's been in, and he had issues, I guess, regarding his sexuality, whatever the case may be. So it turned out for like every 3 years of my friend, this guy would try to reappear or stalk her or whatever the case may be. When the fact is that she actually throughout the relationship, she actually he actually beat her, and she got out of it when she actually fought for herself. So every time that this guy was trying to throw a wrench into her personal life or whatever the case may be, it looks like that this guy was in the same job as my friend. This guy did not produce nor do anything, but yet certain people in that job, just because I guess she defended my name, were trying to actually do nothing while this guy was trying to be a menace towards my friend. So I thought it was not right. And I knew certain people who were higher up, and I told, and even though I was fired, I told them my disgust on what they were doing. So they were telling me, oh, that I should go and take my crazy pills or whatever the case may be. And I hate to say it, and may God forgive me for this, I exposed them on social media on what they were actually doing to my friend. And everything basically came out the woodworks. Oh, I'm this bad guy. I'm a nuisance. This, that, and the third. I actually exposed them in a bad way. Albeit dismaying, when I told when I exposed the world what they really were, one of the persons was like, after I moved to New York, after I moved out of New York, was like, me and my husband are gonna go and pay you a visit. I never disrespected you. But yet you was trying to tell me to shut up in 2015 just because I was helping my friend. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
And there was a guy,
Yeah.
who said, "Oh yeah, you made fake accounts and stuff." I'm like, "Well, say it to my face." And personally, this guy, I could actually say, and I know we all flawed and everything. He's a hypocrite, and I'm going to tell you why. You didn't help my friend. You were so afraid of this abuser and everything, and my friend was a victim of abuse by this man. The reason why I call this man a hypocrite is because his sister was killed by an abuser. So, as a man who lost his sister to an abusive boyfriend, you was not going to go around and help a woman that was in the same situation, but yet you want to go and praise the abuser. I called him out on that too. Certain people, they was like, "Oh yeah, you're crazy." Well, guess what? I'd rather be crazy than stupid. And I could see, even though my friend passed from COVID last year, I could actually feel in my heart that I actually helped somebody in their time of need. Even though it was not conventional, I didn't have to go to jail or anything like that. But I let it be known that within corporate America, you have certain people that will try to facilitate your downfall by any means. Just because either you defended somebody or they had a personal issue just because on who you are or on how you live your life. So my thing is that you have certain people who are still angry about whatsoever the case may be, on how I live my life, and they'll try to say anything. They'll have their quote unquote spies on social media to see how I'm doing. Or better yet, they'll try to ask another person how I'm doing. I'm just saying for
Mhm.
certain people that I don't care for, but yet for some reason I live rent free in their head. Even to the point if I take a vacation and nobody knows where I'm at, they'll try to ask the whole world where I'm at. But yet your your point of existence is that you don't care about me. So why is it you're asking another man a question about what I'm doing in my own personal life when the fact is it should not even be affecting you?
Mhm. True.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to kind of like our argument regarding people who choose to let other people live rent free in their head, and that what you did and the things that they visit in your past are things that they visit far more than you do. And the fact that they're sending spies on you to your Facebook page or media, okay, now that's just very creepy and psycho behavior, but oh well.
I mean, it is funny though. I'm going to tell you why. It's like, for example, right? I had a, I kid you not, when me and my wife was still before we got married, and I was still living in New York. How the heck? I was just in a bus with me and my wife. We were about to go to the movies, right? How the heck there was a drug addict in from my former job that I never talked to, but as soon as that person saw me and my own wife, there was they went to call somebody just because they saw me. I'm like, I had to just sit back and just just analyze it for myself. Am I that important that you have to call a phone number for a person that you haven't seen nor spoke to when you're in your place of employment to go and call when you see me and my wife in the bus going somewhere where you think I'm not going? I can't really. I could actually say, and I've wrote a post on my own Facebook. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm just saying that, like for example, even though it's wishful thinking, but it's actually funny. If a person wants to stalk you that bad, you should charge them. You should charge them for wasting your time. And my rate goes for $1,000. The reason why I say that is because if you actually look at some of these celebrities now, right? They're actually charging their fans $1,000 to go take pictures with them, right? So since these guys are celebrities, and people that do love their music or whatsoever the case may be, and they're making it lucrative, I want to at least in my fantasy world have my stalkers. If you want to go and try to stalk me or you want to take a picture with me or whatever the case may be, and I'm not yet famous, you got to pay because my time is money and you're wasting my time, so you should pay. That's it. But
Fair
but
enough.
but yeah, but
Time
yeah,
is
it's my fantasy world, so I know that would never happen. But it's just an interesting concept that I've actually talked about because I have friends that are still in I have a friend that's still in a stalker situation, right? And this is how it's funny it is. The woman is actually, I guess, in a shelter or whatever the case may be, right? And while my friend was with this woman, I guess it never I guess the relationship never really manifested to where it came from, and that person actually went up and cheated on my friend. So for the past 3 years, this person always finds some type of way to harass my friend, and clearly my friend is actually working out. He's working. He's helping his mother, but yet this ex is always asking him for money. My thing is that he changed his phone numbers all the time, but yet for some reason this female could get his phone number off rip or whatever the case may be, and she's stalking the dude, asking for money. My thing is this.
Hmm.
This is my thing. You cheated on the man. The man has nothing to do with you. So why for 3 years you're asking, you're kicking a dead horse, thinking that it's going to be, thinking that you're gonna get food, or you think that that horse is gonna go back up and be galloping again. And that's what I think this situation is. You're always asking a person for money, money, money for 3 years straight. God saying, and you making threats that, oh, I'm going to show to your house if you don't give me this money. You severed the line by you being unfaithful to this man in the relationship. Why should he give you money? Why should he actually acknowledge your existence? And why should a single man that you did wrong should go and pay for your kids that is not his? I don't understand it.
been there and done that, bro. Because just not that long ago, a girl, you know, found me very attractive. She somehow
Yeah.
got my number
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted to talk. But I'm
All
happy
right.
that she was transparent from the get go. Because otherwise, I probably would have found myself in a disastrous situation.
I
She had
mean,
told
I
me,
could actually,
wait, well, what's up?
I could actually say that in my lifetime, right? If I ever went out with a woman, I always try to make sure that I don't know in my case, but most of the women that I've went out with didn't have kids. And I could actually say it might have been maybe immature of me. I guess it took me a long path or anything like that. But I could I've met women that maybe like when I was single it could have happened, but my mind was not mature enough to go and say, "Oh, I'm gonna like your kid also," or whatever the case may be, because I've always had a spirit that I want to have my own.
Same, and I still do to this day, but it's just going to have to be with the right one. Because I'll tell you this, I had a son, or daughter, but she didn't make it, or he didn't make it. So
Yeah,
I just wish and pray that the Lord will give me a second chance with the right woman, and hopefully my son can actually make it through the pregnancy.
yeah.
Mhm.
I had certain instances also with my ex who I had 7 years with. So, but the thing is though, before that, it was funny because for some reason I guess I could call myself an attractive man or whatever the case may be. But I'll take you back to like 2005 or 2004, 2005. That was when I guess Moomy D or what have you was actually popping in the music scene. And everybody was still wearing baggy jeans before everybody started wearing tight pants. Um, I guess you might have been in middle school or high school in those times.
So yeah, I was. I started the
All right,
seventh grade in the fall of 2004. But from like the fall of
right,
2003 to spring 2004, it's an 11-year-old sixth grader.
right. So I was in the
Mhm.
streets doing whatever, right? So I was 21 at the time. So when I was 21 and I was in the streets or whatever the case may be, just hanging out, making money, selling DVDs or whatever the case may be. I remember one of my OGs was dating a female who was like my age or younger. I was 21 and
Mhm.
I think she was 19 going on 20. So I used to see my OG. I called the guy my OG because he was my sister's friend. My sister's like 9 years older than me. So she was like from her generation or so forth. So me and him, we always used to talk because he always used to write poetry and everything like that, and he always gave me some good words of encouragement. So one day, me and him, we were just talking. I was like, "Yo, fam, what happened to you and your lady?" He was like, "Man, I cannot even do it, bro. That lady is 19 years old with 7 kids."
What?
Mm.
Yeah, you heard correct.
Well, I'm
19
not
years
really.
with
Well, I
I
have to.
mean,
seven
that means,
kids.
Wow.
like she might have started when she was 12. We'll have a couple of twins.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
that's
Whoa.
yeah. Now go back to '04. I guess I was the hot looking guy or whatever the case may be. Because I had a lot of females that looked at me. But I was very selective on who I actually builded with or dated. So every time I used to be chilling and everything with me and my fellas, all I saw was this female wherever I was at. I could be in Parkchester. I could be in Soundview. I could be in the I could be on the train, on the 6th train. I've always saw this female. And I always told myself, your fertile behind is not going to get me. I know what you're about already. I didn't speak to her. But every time there was how shall I say, a a gang of good looking girls at that time work walking around the neighborhood, that female was always there looking at me like the next. I don't know what she thought. Didn't speak to her, but I already knew what she was about. So I was not gonna go and try to put my hands in fire for that female or to get this female because my OG already told me what she was about. So I could actually say that I've dodged a lot of stuff in this life, and it's even to the point that some of my friends, I made a joke about it. Like one of my friends was like, "Yo, what do you think child support is?" I was like, "I guess that's the reason that some of my friends are in jail."
You don't
And
make that child support payment, that's where you're going to go.
whew,
You
yeah,
miss it, you avoid it, yeah, that's just the way it is. But I have to start wrapping things up
yeah,
because
I'm
my
about to
dog
wrap
is ready.
things up too because I'm about to go to sleep. Before anything, do any of you gentlemen have some closing statements?
I do, and I'll be really quick with it. Just in
All
conclusion,
right,
it'll even be just within 30 seconds, even less.
all right.
So I've been there and done that, man, especially in my 20s. So I am not going to get with a woman who already has kids. Now, I don't want to say never, because let's just say if I'm already turning 40 and I just get that desperate, I might do it if that's all I got. However, ideally, it's just something that us men are just naturally repulsed by because we don't want to be responsible for another man's child. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't eventually rise up to an amazing stepfather role, but we have to keep things real here. As long as the biological dad is breathing, her kids are never going to see you the same as the biological father, no matter how much of a POS he was. That's just a reality of it. Now, with the girl I was telling you about earlier, she had told me ahead of time that she has 2 kids. And I'm like, well, I wish I had kids. It's great that you have kids. But hopefully, you don't have any kind of ulterior motive here. Because, no offense to you, girl, not saying that's you or that all women are like that, but when she has kids and she's looking for that single man, especially when he's childless himself, she has an ulterior motive, even if she does come off as sweet and meek and nice, because she's eventually looking for possibly a new baby daddy to hopefully marry to help support her and her kids. But that can be disastrous in the long term, because what's going to happen if you two don't work out? You're still going to be responsible for paying child support to another man's kids, because the system works like that. You guys get married, you then sign like legal documents saying that okay, that you basically have become these kids' father, and the court recognizes that. You guys divorce, all that alimony and that payment goes to children who belong to another man. So be careful. I think that girl was trying to get me caught up in that cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Okay.
any closing words, Don Jose?
Well, first of all, as always, thank you for allowing me on your platform. And it's great to interact with people like yourself and JoJo. When it comes to like 9/11, I mean, the fact of the matter is we're all affected in all different ways. Um, and for some people, the scars will never be healed completely. I think the best thing we can do is just realize our limitations and realize that there is no expiration for grief. And grief comes in many ways, shapes, and forms. And
Amen.
I have dealt with the grieving of members of my family dying, and also a friendship ending. and that's something that I have to deal with, and that's something I have to accept. So, with that being said, let's continue to keep these dear people who lost loved ones in prayer. And if you don't believe in the power in prayer, then keep a positive thought. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Amen. This is my own closing thing. My closing words are that may all the people that are still grieving about this tragedy, may they find some solace and and some comfort during this day. And as for us three gentlemen, I could actually say that we're survivors.
Hmm.
We've been through it, and may God bless both of you men
Thank you.
in whatever endeavors that y'all partake in. With that said,
Likewise.
the show is ending, and much respect to anybody that tuned in. Thank you, and have a
Appreciate.
good night.
Thank
Likewise,
you.
man, and thanks for accepting my friend request too on Facebook. I found you.
Anytime, sir.
Take care.
You too.
Okay. Okay. Good night.